Hi everyone. We've just come back from 2 weeks in America. The trip was mainly to visit friends in Colorado and spend about 10 days camping with them across Utah. I decided to go via Washington, D.C. I've been there, she hasn't, but she's just seen the pictures. So we just spent 3 nights in Washington, D.C., and I've just put together a little video of what we saw and just a few sort of hints and tips for travellers from UK and Europe. Probably stuff you already know, but thought it might be useful anyway. Okay, so enjoy. The immigration was pretty slow at IAD. If you are flying into a US airport and then directly connecting to fly out to another, for example, flying into Chicago and then on to somewhere else, make sure you allow, I'd say, at least a couple of hours, if not more, because it's going to take you time. When you land at an airport in the States, you've got to land. You could queue for an hour for immigration. Then you've got to go through, collect your luggage. You may find that you have to go out of the main terminal, take a train round, go into another terminal, and then check your bags in again and go through that whole lengthy process. IAD is about an hour away by the metro system, but it's a good run in, and at the weekend it was something like $2.50 per person. You might have to spend a few minutes looking at the machine trying to work out how you do it, because effectively you look at the table to see the station you're going to go to, and it'll tell you what the fare is from there. Then you go and select to buy a card, and the card costs you $2 or $3 or something, and then you add on that fare. So maybe you come to $4.50 or something like that, and then the cards, you just tap them to go in, and then you tap them on the other side to come out again. So US sockets look like this. Notice that these are 3-pin sockets, so this has got an earth on it. A lot of the adapters are just 2-pin, so they'll fit in any of these like that. So you can take your UK plugs. This is a 3-pin one, so it's got an earth pin on it, so it'll only work in this type. Makes it a bit more secure though, and because it's got an earth, it means you can use it on things like kettles safely. Actually, there's another note. A lot of things like phone chargers will be, they'll work in the 110 volt that the US has, as well as the 240 volts that we have in the UK. Do check the back, it'll normally say what the input voltage can be. Things like kettles and hair dryers are quite dependent on that, so you'll often find if it's a travel one, in this case there's a little switch underneath that will allow you to switch it between 240 volts and 110 volts, so it's going to take forever to boil unless you switch it, but make sure you switch it back before you get home, otherwise you're going to damage the kettle. So it's a tiny thing, but American light switches and power switches work the other way round to the UK, so up is on and down is off, which I feel is actually a safer, more sensible arrangement. So you'll notice that difference. And by the way, if you have lamps, like bedside or table lamps, sometimes in the UK you have that funny slider switch that foreigners don't understand for no obvious reasons. In the US the equivalent is often a rotary switch. So you just click it clockwise until it comes on and click it again to turn it off in the same direction. So another thing you might not be used to in the UK is the way these shower controls work. So here typically you pull them outwards, so you pull the whole thing outwards to turn it on, and then rotate it to get hot or cold, and then push it back in to turn it off. Plan today is to do the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum here. First ticket we could get for 10 is 10 AM. You have to reserve them online, so whether you can, maybe at quieter times you can just turn up, but generally you have to reserve them in advance. This Air and Space Museum, there's 2 parts to it. There's a bit here in downtown DC, but then there's the bit with the space shuttle and other things like that, and that is up at IAD Airport, which is an hour away by metro. So check that out if you're intending to go, so you don't find yourself disappointed because what you plan to see is actually there and not here. traffic lane with bike traffic lights. That's good. These are the Capital Bike Share bikes. I'm going to have a go using some of these. So these are non-electric, which is fine because it's virtually flat round here. Okay, you can pay there, but if you've got the app, you can just scan this barcode.
Oh, these are nice.
There we go. After docking, make sure the green light turns on, otherwise you're going to be charged for extra. Okay, these look easy enough. Have they got gears? They got 3 gears. That's good. Conveniently, if you want to cycle from the FBI building, you now have these to use. The Capital Bike Share, which is the red bikes, you can also get electric bikes there, but there's a lot fewer of them, and so if there's a pair of you might struggle, and frankly it's pretty much flat, so you don't really need the electric ones. They do help you get around a lot quicker, because if you want to go from one end of the mall to another end of the mall, you know, it's quite a distance and it's a lot of walking. I've done it in the past, I know. I think you have to go the other side if you're waiting for an invitation for lunch.
Oh, really?
You can also get, for example, the Lime bikes, just like you can in other cities like London. They're often strewn about the sidewalks. I think the good thing with the Capital Bike Share is that the app shows you where the stations are. It shows you how many bikes of each type are there, and importantly, how many free slots there are, because you don't want to turn up and you find that you can't actually dock your bike, because until you dock it, you're still being charged for it. It's also quite good if there's 2 or more of you, because you can look and say, oh look, there's a dozen bikes available, whereas I'm guessing if you have to try and just pick up one of these Lime bikes, you're going to be hunting around, because you often see one here and one there, whereas because there's all these docking stations, it does mean the Capital Bike Share bikes are concentrated in one place. The other useful thing about the bike share is that you can cycle to some monuments and museum. As long as you've found where the dock is, you can dock your bike, just leave it there. You've stopped paying for it at that point, do the museum, come out, pick up another bike. You get charged about $1 each time you take the bike out. Again, if you can pay for this sort of all-day thing or join the membership, and then it gets cheaper, but you're still paying a fee anyway. So I don't know quite where the break-even point is. Given that it's not that much, I wouldn't even bother with signing up membership unless you're a local.
Oh, can we go in?
Well, you can just have a look.
Go up to that. Oh. I wouldn't want to be in that. I've never seen it.
Transporting equipment was challenging.
It's a science laboratory. That's a different thing.
Okay, let's work out how to take bikes out.
Where's the app?
So it's that. There
Cabby.
we go. The app. So finally got the app working. Having tethered this to my phone. Click scan. Okay, and oh, I think has it done it? It's thinking about it. Continue. Be safe. Wear a helmet. Stuff like that. Pays right. Yeah, whatever.
Well, that sounds good. It's giving you an option.
Okay, we've done that. Yeah, whatever. So continue. Skip and start ride.
Yes. And that should then,
Hopefully.
you can.
So why does it keep doing this?
There's no locating. There you go. It's gone.
Right. So try pulling the bike out.
How do I pull the bike out?
I don't know.
There.
There we go.
Ha-ha!
We have one bike. We're going to leave that app open.
We're going to, yeah, I'm just going to put that there. So,
Yeah, it would have been better if we had a working network connection. Yeah, technology works in the end.
and we got there in the end. I was a bit worried.
Yeah.
That whole
We're going to have to give up.
That bike app thing.
I don't know what's wrong with your SIM card and why it's not roaming properly, but at least tethering it off mine seems to work.
All the way down the mall you've got the line of the Smithsonian museums, including the Holocaust Museum, the Museum for Native American Peoples, and you can visit the White House as well. If you can't get booked into the White House, I think there is a separate small museum which we missed. There's also a spy museum which is not far south of the mall. My contactless card works pretty much everywhere. If it didn't work contactless, you could just insert it in the machine and use your PIN number. So that's quite a change from before. There are quite a number of dedicated bike paths. Also, it seems fine riding on the sidewalk.
Gone green, that means we're no longer paying for it. Apparently important to check that. I like this one. This has actually got a completely variable transmission on it instead of a 3-speed. Okay, that was cool. Let's get some food and drink.
One thing to remember in the States is everyone wants a tip.
Oh, it's a minor thing, but the floor numbers differ slightly in US buildings, and if you want to get to the ground floor, it's on a hotel, it's generally marked L for lobby, so look out for L on the lift buttons, or you might be struggling. It's also sometimes the what looks like a lift button is just the little circular logo for the floor, and the button is a silver button next to it.
Today we're going to go and look around the Capitol building. So you've got to be there half an hour before for security apparently. So we just had some breakfast and we're going to head across to the Capitol. So just like in Europe, a lot of the sites here you go to, you need to book in advance. Even if, like the Air and Space Museum, is free, it's a timed entry system, so you've got to book on the internet your slot and then turn up at the right time. And be aware, a lot of these places have security, or almost all of them have security, so you need to read the details in advance of what you're allowed to bring in and what you're not allowed to bring in, because most of them you're not allowed to bring food in, or things like selfie sticks. They're putting barricades up so you can't get that close in. So tours of the Capitol building start on the south side here of the building. There's an entrance this way. It is fairly clearly signposted, at least if you get this far. There's signs pointing towards the visitor centre, and it says from here average walking time 5 to 6 minutes, so it's nice additional information. Notice it is uphill. It's called Capitol Hill for a reason, although coming from where I live, this isn't really much of a hill. Back of the Capitol building, but actually it's saying it's over here for the visitor centre. So entrance is down here. Okay,
Okay, so this is, you wait till the allotted time, you go through security, you come downstairs, and then you turn left here and you present your voucher thing, and then they'll give you one of these stickers.
Oh, so they take the voucher off you,
Yeah,
and then you
they
get
give you a sticker,
sticker.
and then you go over there at the allotted time, and the museum we can look at in the meantime.
It's where the people you elect, your representative and your senators, debate and resolve competing visions of the American people.
A House and Senate Conference Committee negotiates a final version, which is then voted on by both bodies.
Make sure we got everybody.
Yeah, we got horse. Oh yeah, we got tea. You want tea?
Go with Napoleon.
So that was a really good tour. You only got to see certain parts of it, but it was the tour guide was incredibly knowledgeable. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's well worth doing if you're
Yes.
in town here. And if you come from Britain, when you're crossing the roads, remember the traffic comes from the other side to what you're expecting. I'm used to driving over in the States. It's not a problem driving. Frankly, I feel that if I'm going to have an accident, it's more likely I'm going to be run over by looking the wrong way when crossing the road. Plus also here they take jaywalking more seriously, whereas you know in Europe we just cross where we like, whereas here you are supposed to actually use the formal crossings. It's Ulysses S. Grant, I think, up there on the horse. So if you follow the mall all the way down past the Washington Monument, and you can see the Lincoln Memorial at the end, and the bridge from there goes across to the Arlington Cemetery. So the plan is to get some bikes and head out that way in a minute in the rain. The bell works on this one by rotating that sort of thing on the handlebar. The Capital Bike Share bikes were pretty good. I think it can be a bit random in terms of quality, but they were quite cheap actually. We didn't go for the option which it tries to push you, which is to sort of buy a thing for like the whole day or to join up. We just paid as we went, and it only cost a few dollars each time we used them. And I think in the longest case we used them for about an hour and a half, and again it was only, I don't know, $5-6 or something like that each. From a safety perspective, Washington DC has always felt very safe to me.
Restore thy judgments as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning.
Even if I'm walking around at 5 o'clock in the morning, I've never felt sort of at risk in any way. There's a lot more security these days if you go around the outskirts of the White House, for example, whereas before it was a lot less formal. Arlington Cemetery is definitely worth a visit if you've got time. The famous US Marines Memorial is at the north end. You can cycle all the way to it, and there is somewhere you can leave your bikes nearby. There is an entrance to the cemetery on that side, and it's quite attractive, and it's quite hilly as well. AM start for a flight to Chicago and then onwards to Denver. So last time I flew into Washington DC I was quite late. I was on business anyway, so I just got a cab from the airport. It wasn't that cheap. If you're on a budget, using the metro is pretty good. Flying out of Reagan National Airport, which is a regional airport, that's a lot closer. It was only like $15 or something like that on a cab. That was early in the morning as well. They didn't charge us extra for the fact that it was really early, and we got there quick. So that was only a almost literally flying visit to Washington DC, but it was really worth the detour to do it.